So what a thing to wake up to this week. I mean, I didn't wake up to it. It was around about lunchtime when I did find out. But in case you don't know, every single year, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, I think they've done it for like 30, maybe 40 years, something like that, does a 500 best wrestlers in the world. And as social media very kindly told me, and yes, I'll admit, I ran out and bought the issue straight away because I am a massive nerd and I just don't care. The 350th best wrestler in the world is me, the bald idiot, Simon Miller. This was genuinely one of the coolest things that's happened to me in ages. Now, I'm going to make it very clear, because anytime you do bring this up, you get, which is perfectly fine, I'm happy with all the noise. Oh, you absolute loser, that doesn't mean anything, it's blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's fine, that's cool. If it means nothing to you, I respect it. I respect your opinion. But as a nerd, as a geek, as someone who has decided they wanted to spend their life as if pro wrestling has thrown up over them, and somebody who, sort of 5, 6, 7 years ago decided to go out there, was making wrestling content, I thought, man, I really like to be a wrestler. And if you know my story, you know my story. I tried a couple of times before, but this was kind of my third strike and you're out. I was like, you're going to do it. You're going to go through. You're going to make sure you have one match and then the rest we'll sort of figure out afterwards. And then having that match is one of the best things I've ever done. So I thought, well, we better carry this on. Now, I do have a lot of dumb goals. Dumb goals is probably not the right word, but, I like to put in small things to try and aim for, just because I think it keeps you focused, but also it's fun. That's the best thing about wrestling. It's meant to be enjoyable. And yes, one of them was, would I ever be able to sneak into the PWI 500? Did I ever truly believe that would happen? I don't know. would be the answer. But then, yes, on Wednesday, Thursday, whenever the flub it was, somebody mentioned it to me on Twitter, and I was like, well, that's true. I thought it was a joke. And then somebody else mentioned it, and I was like, I doubt these two people know each other. So I did. I thought I'd just go buy the issue. I like reading it anyway. It's fun, and it does create a lot of discourse, especially that top 10. Shout out to Cody Rhodes, who went back-to-back. I believe only the fifth person to do it. Steve Austin did it, Bret Hart did it, somebody else did it, I can't remember. But still, an absolute achievement, all things considered. And yes, popping in at number 350 with a picture, by the way, which also meant a lot to me. It put a massive smile on my face. There I was, and they wrote this. I've just got it over there. They always have a little sort of gimmick before each entry. Side hustle, YouTube host, that would be I. Former What Culture talking head is thriving as an in-ring competitor. Honestly, it's made my life. Making his 500 debut after a banner year. Spent 172 days as Progress Protest champion. I did. Charting 7 successful defenses. I'd forgotten that. 7's pretty decent. Also won titles for Ultimate Pro Wrestling Chaos in his native United Kingdom. Also true, I am currently UPW champion, facing Rhino next month, which is somewhat intimidating, but we'll see what happens there. And I was the internet champion for Chaos. I held that for around about 4 months. Not my greatest achievement, but I will still take it. So many people jumped on the fact that it said former What Culture host. Listen, I love the PWI 500. It makes me so damn happy. But it is written in kayfabe. So, if you do win a lot of championships, you'll be higher up the rankings. So I think they were just, speaking at it from, he's an in-ring competitor now. He doesn't have another job, etc., etc. As I've told you 1,000 times, I freelanced for What Culture since day one. I still freelance for them now. Unless anything changes in the near future, nothing that I know about, I will be there until wherever I'm not, but I would make a video about that because I would imagine that is something that people would be interested in. I just thought I'd address it as loads of people have thrown it my way. It's such a ridiculous concept anyway that I would be the 350th best wrestler in the world. As for some reason I adopt a list there. And I understand, again, what the list is, but it's just... So let's wind the clock right back, right? This is more like a vlog-style video, I suppose. But as you may know, if you've watched some of my other videos, it was... I want to say it's a hard way for me to get into wrestling, but it's quite interesting they put that in the text. There was a lot of, I don't want to fight the YouTuber when I first broke into wrestling, which is fine. Everybody has their obstacles. Everybody has their ups and downs. Nobody knows more about that than I. And thankfully, because I did get into it later in life, I wasn't like a 15, 16, 17-year-old, I just realized wrestling is about respect. Take your licks. It didn't really bother me sort of deep down. It did on the surface level, but again, I like to think I'm quite thick-skinned underneath all this. And I was like, it will be okay. You know what you're doing. You know you have the right intentions. You just have to prove it to them. But what it did do is it kind of gave me a little stigma in my own brain. And again, we all have things like this, where I always kind of felt like a YouTuber that not wrestled on the side, because I try and wrestle every single weekend, and I do, like my poor knees and my poor elbows, they soon went. But that was kind of how I saw it. I guess I always felt like a little bit like an outsider, and that even if I was backstage at a locker room, that some people were very nice to me, but I didn't feel a part of the crew. So to all of a sudden get this, and somebody actually sent me on Instagram, so thank you very much, I thought it was very, very kind, said, you're no longer a YouTuber that wrestles, you're a wrestler that just has a YouTube channel. That kind of stared off into the distance and had nice music playing in my head. And I was like, well, what a cool thing for somebody else to think. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm completely over the sort of the worries that I did have, because you know what it's like, those things, well, they run deep. If you have things in your childhood that you grow up with, even though eventually you can come to terms with them and maybe even move on from them, they never completely leave you. But it was one of those moments where I was like, you know what, maybe there is a little bit of truth in that, and I'm going to allow myself to enjoy this. That's something else I try and tell people all of the time. You have to enjoy the things on the journey, otherwise you'll get to whatever the destination will be, and you'll look back and either one, the destination won't be as cool as you hoped it was, so you'll regret the fact you didn't enjoy all other things, or it will be cool, but then you'll be melancholy for the other things, because that's just how brains work. So to win the Progress Pro Years Championship was nuts anyway. If you don't know, I guess you could call that their equivalent of the IC Championship. But to win that and then defend it a bunch of times in the Electric Ballroom, which is like Progress's spiritual home. We also went to America to defend it a few times as well, which technically means it's a world championship. That's how the rules work in wrestling. And for for me to win the internet title in Chaos and to become the UPW champion was like, well, that is... If we're looking at wrestling, as a legitimate sport, if you want to use those terms, I was like, yeah, that's not a bad run. That's not a bad run at all. And listen, of course, some of the negative Nancy's came out and said, oh, Simon, you're not that good. I'm well aware of my strengths, right? And I'm well aware of my weaknesses. And I spend every single day trying to get better at them. The only way you can do that is by going to training and having more matches and getting feedback from people. Like, I'll be completely honest with you, a very legendary figure who I'll not drop the name of because I think it's unfair. He didn't ask me to do this. Took me aside after one recent match and said, Miller, your strikes have got to get better. And he was totally right. And I knew this too, but I took that, I went away, and I just practiced strikes for like 3 weeks in a row. Then at my next match, I did waffle the first one. But then I took a minute, I was like, no, go with the stuff you have been taught, and they were definitely a little bit better. Like, that is one of the cool things when you do have all these wrestling matches. You can almost adopt this feedback in real time. So somebody tells you something, and in the next match, you make sure that you build it in somehow. Maybe it doesn't go right, and maybe it does, but you know every single time that you do it again, it's just going to get better and better and better. It's just nice to get a pat on the back from somebody outside of your own sphere, right? It wasn't a family member, it wasn't a friend, it even wasn't one of you, and I love all of you, and you're so nice to me. Some of you are horrible, but I genuinely love you too. It's awesome that people care so much about my opinion, because I'm just a random bald a-hole that has somewhat of a platform. I mean, it's totally crazy. But to pop up, and I suppose it's the names that are in there as well. Like, even if you do sort of get into the 200s and 300s, it is a who's who of who is out there busting their ass, probably going to land a big contract one day, probably going to go from like 400 to 300 to 200 to 100 to in the top 50, and arguably the top 10. So, yes, I think it goes back to that statement where all of a sudden you do see yourself and your name in amongst this. And, I mean, there was a few people going, that's ridiculous. But that was a very, very small minority. And the majority of people came out and they said nice things. Some were in response for the post that I did on social media. Some people just came from nowhere. People I haven't spoken to in years that I wouldn't necessarily call friends, but more acquaintances. Were like, oh, Simon, I knew you were doing this wrestling thing, but that's a big deal, dude. Of course, it all depends on how you sort of approach the PWI 500. But to me, it absolutely was a milestone in everything that I'm doing. And some people say that I should talk about it here more on the channel. I try to, but the wrestling landscape as it is just changes. There's so much reactionary content you have to do all of the time. Sometimes it does get lost by the wayside. And I do try and shout about it as much as I can on social media. But it was just really, really cool. And ultimately, I wanted to make this video because, well, it's twofold. One, in 10, 15 years' time, I'll be able to come back and watch it. It's the coolest thing about the new age we're in, is that you can create these digital diaries that you can just store on YouTube. One day it may die, of course, but at least I can keep the video on my own hard drive. But two, and again, cheesy, corny, what a loser. I know, so you're such an absolute idiot. We're aware of this. But it is to thank everybody who is watching this right now and who comes to my matches. Like, the coolest thing was, so let's say that came out on Wednesday. I really can't remember. I literally had landed back from Canada after a mini Canadian wrestling tour on the Monday, where I wrestled for Smash Wrestling, I wrestled for C4, got thrown through a table. I wrestled for I did commentary for Mystery Wrestling, who I've wrestled for before. Got to go to All Out as media. That drove some people crazy because people don't understand how media works. Maybe I'll do a video about that as well. But that was once again, such a humbling experience to go out there, and people do come to the shows and they come and they say wonderful things to me and nice things to me. And, in the wee hours, I stare off into the distance like, I don't understand why people are being so kind, but isn't it the coolest thing ever? And people even come give me feedback on my matches. I like this, I didn't like that. You've come so far since this. I saw you back in 2019 and then, here we are in 2025. And that's just the greatest thing ever. You can't ask for more than that. Again, I don't think anybody cares. I don't mean that, nobody cares about me. I just don't think about it. You kind of fall into a pattern. I love what I do. It's a very, very demanding job. So you move on so quickly. Even wrestling matches. You have a wrestling match on a Saturday and a wrestling match on a Sunday. The Saturday one kind of just vanishes as soon as you get to Sunday because you have to focus on that. And it's absolutely the same with videos. It's a Craig David song, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By Saturday, you are not thinking about any of them, especially because you've had Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision. So you have all this other information in your brain. So to kind of go on that tour and have people say such nice stuff, and then in a completely sort of another unique way, read that, it meant something to me. Like, it really, really did. I got pretty emotional about it. Again, emotions are cool. Why wouldn't you want to experience emotions? We do have them for a reason. They're not there for fun. And something I'm kind of repeating myself here, but something I've definitely tried to do more of in 2025 is like, take the moment, right? Everybody has 5 minutes they can spare in a day. Take 5 minutes, kind of stealing Chris Van Vliet's thing. So I apologize, Chris, I'm stealing your gimmick. But just be grateful, right? Be grateful for the good things you do have in your life. And I suppose the cherry on top with this, and it doesn't make me better or worse than anybody else, but I have put a lot of time into it, and I have really busted my ass. Like, again, I try to get matches in every week. I travel around the place. Doesn't mean that I'm a great wrestler. Doesn't mean that I'm a terrible wrestler. Doesn't mean that I deserve this. Doesn't mean that I deserve that. But I do put the time in because that's just what I believe, be it with YouTube, a relationship, wrestling, anything in your life. The first thing you should do, now it's like Dwayne Johnson, but he's right as well. The first thing you should do is just work as hard as you possibly can, or as much as you want to. I always like to caveat that. It doesn't make you a bad person if you only want to put in 75% effort. That's fine. As long as you are achieving the stuff that you need to achieve and you're happy, then you're smashing life. But my big thing is, I think we talked about this before, is I don't want to get to 70 years old and think, well, why didn't I just try? Or why didn't I do more? And you need to enjoy the achievements now as well. You don't want to get to 70 and go, oh my gosh, I didn't enjoy any of it. But to pick something up that I was quite intimidated about, I remember walking to that first training session and be like, why have I agreed to do this on a YouTube channel that has millions of subscribers? What am I doing? And I've never actually thought about turning around, but you kind of had those instincts as well. Like, this is a terrible idea. But to go from all of that to throw some of the worst clotheslines of all time on your debut back into Fight in 2018. Shout out to Mark Haskins. He probably won't remember that conversation we had now. It still makes me laugh. He's a good guy. He's a super good guy, Mark Haskins. But to do all of that, and then go through all this other crazy stuff, then win a belt in Progress that people did see as a big deal because Progress is a massive company, to losing that belt, which is the saddest thing ever, but then to picking up the magazine. Because I do believe, I don't know if this is true, I really, really don't, but it would make sense. Like, the PWI people can't go around and just pick random people. It would take forever. But I think you can submit yourself as long as your CV, your resume is up to par. Doesn't mean that you'll get in, but it's just a way to say, hey, I'm here, this is what I've done, and then they can lay it out and sort of decide, well, who's worthy and who's not worthy. I didn't do any of that. So I didn't think I was going to be in. I remember I saw a tweet or something saying the PWI comes out today. And I promise you this is true. I remember thinking in the morning, oh, it'd be great if I was in it, but I mean, there's just no way. There's no way that I would qualify. And then to all of a sudden, and again, get all that stuff and see it was just like, it was cool. And I knew that it hit me because I kind of stopped in perpetual motion, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex was about to whip my ass. And I suppose what it did is it allowed my brain to just switch off for 1 second. And I sat there and I thought, well, Simon, no matter what else comes from this, and we're not going to stop, of course not. I've got a match on Sunday at Progress if you're coming down. I don't even know who it's against. But I said Progress Wrestling, I need a damn opponent because I've not had the best run in 2024 ever since I did lose that title. So it doesn't stop, and I've got pretty much matches through the end of the year at weekends. So, go on my social media, come on down, please, I'd love to see you. So it doesn't all of a sudden mean, well, I haven't made it or anything like that, but it was just a cool tentpole, a cool milestone, and it did. I'll use the phrase again. Shout out to Barry Horowitz. It felt like a pat on the back, especially because I got some messages. Again, I'm not going to name them. They're out there in public. You can go on my Twitter feed right now and find them. But I got some messages from very, very important, is that the right word? Notable, famous wrestlers saying, oh man, good stuff. And you're like, well, hot damn. But I understand it as well. So many people post their PWI numbers and, someone pops up, as always, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You don't have to think it's a big deal. I do. And especially from my own vantage point. And it wasn't even something I had to overly think about. I just felt it, right? We're getting super corny now. But I just felt it. And it's something that I wanted to share with people to say, oh, wow, look what I've done. And if you know anything about me, I'm awful at that. I'm awful at self-promotion. Terrible at selling merchandise, which is a different story for a different day. But I always try and keep as grounded as possible, just because you've seen, especially on YouTube, see so many YouTubers get ahead of themselves and they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. I don't want to be that guy. I want to try and, not enjoy these things that come my way. But always remember, no matter what you do in life, we're all on the same plane. No matter where you come from or who you are, what you do or what you believe in, we're all just human beings at the end of the day trying to make our way through it. So this was just sort of a nice way for me to go, we wanted to be a wrestler, Simon. And again, there's still other things I want to achieve. I mean, I'm looking it up there because I got the thing up. Golden Boy Santos and Masakita Maya are the people in the same frame as me. I'll be honest with you. I think I deserve to be in that company, but my gosh, does it make me happy that I am. So really, this was just a way for me to say thank you very much, because none of this happens without your support. Like, I don't get booked because I'm Will Ospreay. Nobody brings me in going, oh man, you wait to see Miller wrestle. But I still think I bring things to the table. But one thing I do have is this incredible audience that follows me and supports me. And that means something in professional wrestling, as we know, because it is a business at the end of the day. So thank you for all your kind words. Thank you for all your hateful words as well, or whatever it may be. And we do carry on, right? So we're 350 this year. Let's try and make 322 next year. I will take moving up 20 or so places. But I just thought I'd make a video about it. And again, with all the posts that I did and all the nice words that people sent me. Also, my request folder, I never look at my request folder, but it was going nuts. Usually just get people saying the worst things ever. But it was people responding to the story that I'd done on Instagram, Cheap Plug Simon of 316. Once again, just throwing me nice words. And I was like, this is a moment I am going to enjoy. But yes, come on down, see me wrestle. Then you can criticize me in real time, which is way more fun, or you can buy a bald t-shirt. One of these two things will happen, but I will always bust my ass. And I will always give 100%. That's what I say about my videos. You can think my videos are crap. You can think they're the worst things ever. You can think that I should be shot out of a cannon. But if somebody says, oh my gosh, he half-assed this, I promise you I didn't. It's just so much effort into everything I do. It doesn't mean the execution is almost right, but my willingness is always ramped up to 100%. We'll leave it there because I'm just ranting and raving. I don't even know what I'm talking about, to be honest with you. It was just a cool moment for me, and I like to share them because, again, without this, without everything else, maybe I never would have done it for a third time, but thank goodness I did. That's how we'll wrap up, actually. If you're thinking about being a pro wrestler, just go and do it. Doesn't matter if you last one session, doesn't matter if you become the WWE champion. You'll know deep down in your tum-tum and your tootsie toes whether it is for you, but the fact you tried and the fact that you gave it a go is something you can hold on to forever. And again, I tried once. I've talked about this before, but once didn't work out. Second time didn't work out. I thought I was done with it, and then I realized, no, I've got to draw a line under this. I've got to know for sure. And it leads me to September 2025 and being the 350th best wrestler in the world. Now, of course, you can turn around going, Simon, that's not that great. It's great for me. I will take 350. Damn right. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Drop me a comment below if you would be so nice. Click the video on the screen as well, which is me talking about Edge versus John Cena. Oh, that made me laugh. It's not going to happen, all right? I was a negative Nancy, but I still stand by my convictions. Otherwise, you can sign up for my watch-alongs, patreon.com/Simon316. New fitness channels down there as well, as is grillermind.com/Simon. I use these supplements for my wrestling. I'm not just saying that. Use the code Simon, get 10% off there. Pre-workout is something I take before every single match because it's got nootropics in it as well, so it will focus you. I've talked about it 1,000 times. Come say hello and see all the nonsense I shout about at Simon316 on social media. Come get a cameo at Simon Miller. Come see my dumb TikTok videos are now predominantly going to be my producing promos. People keep saying, where are they going to be producing wrestling promos? TikTok is where you want to go. So Simon Miller, search for me there. Otherwise, Big Cartel Pro Wrestling T, search for my name. Again, thank you very much. But this is just the start of it. We don't end here. We use it as a jumping off point. I'll see you in the Raw Rumble very soon. Or maybe just as a security card backstage. I'm happy with all of it.